Hey everyone! So if you've ever played The King is Watching, you know there's a huge variety of unit types you can unlock and bring into battle for your kingdom. And let me tell you, these units are not just reskins. They all play super differently, which makes the game way more interesting. Plus, throughout a run, you get to upgrade them in all sorts of ways, which adds another layer of strategy. It's like building your own little army tailored exactly how you want it. Now here's the thing, not all units are created equal. That doesn't mean any of them are useless, because honestly, every single one has its moment to shine or a specific role it fills. But some units, they're a bit more niche, or just don't perform as well once you've maxed them out. So in this video, we're going to break down which units are worth investing in and which ones you might want to think twice about. Let's dive in. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in The King is Watching. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Gnomes and Whipmen. Alright, let's talk about the units that make you go, why did I pick these again? Yep, we're diving into the C tier, home to some of the most niche troops in The King is Watching. These guys aren't bad per se, but they're kinda like that one friend who shows up to the party with a salad when everyone else brought pizza. Useful? Sure. Game changer? Not really. First up, the Gnomes. These little fellas boost the morale of your other units, which sounds great, until you realize they only have 30 health points and deal a measly 13 damage. That means you need a whole swarm of them just to see any real morale boost, and even then, they're like that tiny cheer squad who barely makes a noise. They get cheaper with upgrades, but honestly, in most situations, your build would thank you if you just spent your resources on literally anything else. Then we have the Whipmen. Now, these guys don't deal any damage themselves. Yep, 0. But they do speed up the attack and movement of your other units. That sounds like a nice perk until you remember the boost is only 3% per Whipman. So, to actually feel that speed bump, you'll need quite a few of them. And by that point, wouldn't it be better to just field a different unit that can punch and run? Yeah, probably. So while Whipmen try to be helpful backup dancers, they're mostly just crowd fillers in the grand scheme of things. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Smallbones, Madmen, Black Sheep, Explosive Cart, Fire Mage, Giant, Lightning Mage, Catapult, Peasants, and Flower Dragon. Alright, we're moving on up to the, hey, that's actually not bad crowd. Welcome to B tier. These are the units that can shine bright, but usually need a little extra TLC or the right setup to hit their full potential. They're like that one band that's incredible live, but only if the sound system works and the lead singer didn't party too hard the night before. Let's break them down one by one. Smallbones are like the skeletal hype men for your undead army. With 45 health points and 10 damage, they're not super tough or strong on their own, but the real magic happens when you use them in undead builds. They boost the damage of their bony brethren, and they only cost water once you've built their structure. So if you're going full necromancer vibes, Smallbones are essential. Outside of that though, they kinda sit in the corner being awkward. Madmen are, well, mad. With 70 health and 10 damage, they don't hit too hard, but they make up for it by being hard to kill due to their unpredictable movement. Plus, they poison enemies and boost morale. Sounds good, right? It is. Until you try to fit them into a non-chaotic build and realize they're more like the wild card nobody asked for. Effective? Sometimes. Reliable? Not quite. Black Sheep are the quiet support class. They've got 25 health points and do absolutely 0 damage. They're literally here for morale, but their real purpose is behind the scenes. You need them to unlock rams, which are very worth the trouble. Think of Black Sheep as the unpaid interns of your kingdom. Not flashy, not powerful, but critical to long-term success. Explosive Carts are like party crashers with a vengeance. They roll in, detonate, and take out massive groups of enemies with 200 damage. Boom, gone. But the catch? They're one-time use wonders and not cheap to make. They've got 250 health, so they can take a beating on the way to their target. But you better be sure they're blowing up something valuable, or you're just tossing fireworks into the wind. Fire Mages come in hot with 70 health and 29 damage, and they buff the damage of all arcane units. In an arcane-heavy build, they're absolute MVPs. Outside of that, their high wheat cost starts to feel like you're burning through your resources for a lukewarm return. Amazing when they're in their element, just maybe not the star of every show. Giants are big, bold, and ready to punch things. 550 health and 35 damage big. They even help arcane units by increasing their stun chance. Sounds awesome, right? Well, every time you summon a giant, your castle loses 20 HP. So unless you've got a good healing setup or a high pain tolerance, these guys can be more trouble than they're worth. Big gains, big risks. Lightning mages are the cool kids of the spell world. With 100 health and 27 damage, they look solid. And they are, especially if you're slinging spells left and right. They increase spell damage across the board, but if you're not leaning hard into magic, their cost starts to sting. Think of them as the glass cannon's best friend, but only if you're really playing with fire, or, well, lightning. Catapults are all about that siege life. With 150 health and 33 damage, they're strong, and they also boost the HP of your grunt units. But here's the rub. They cost more than a ballista, which is already kind of a diva when it comes to price. If you've got metal to spare, they're a solid pick. If not, they're sitting out the war in the resource department. Peasants might seem laughable at first. 35 health and 10 damage isn't exactly heroic, but they're the backbone of your early game, boosting your production and letting you survive those first waves. They're cheap, easy to produce, and if you treat them well, they'll carry your economy on their humble little shoulders. Just don't send them to the front lines. They break easily. Flower dragons sound like a pastry, but they're actually powerhouses. With 430 health and 33 damage, they boost the damage and attack speed of all your units. Total game changers, if you can feed them. Flower can be hard to produce consistently unless you've got a solid wheat infrastructure. So, while they're beastly on paper, they're also kinda high maintenance. Dragons, am I right? The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Swordsman, Crossbowman, Assassin, Hunter, Slinger, Militia, Druid of the Badger, Musketeer, Druid of the Owl, Pumpkin Warrior, Mushroom Warrior, Longbowman, Ballista, Rampaster, Horseman, Fairy, and Worm Riders. Let's talk about the A-tier units. The true workhorses of the king is watching. These are the troops that show up, clock in, and do their job well. They're not quite in the rarefied air of S-tier, but give them the right setup, and they'll carry your whole strategy on their slightly pixelated shoulders. If you're building a solid foundation, odds are you're grabbing a few of these MVPs. Swordsmen are the bread and butter fighters of many armies. With 80 health points and 13 damage, they may not seem flashy at first, but here's the twist. They deal more damage the more swordsmen you have. Basically, the more you spam them, the stronger they get. They're the classic strength in numbers squad, and for their cost, they punch well above their weight class. Crossbowmen offer a sneaky good bonus. They increase the health of all warrior units. With 50 health and 13 damage, they're not exactly tanks, but if you're running a warrior-heavy comp, adding these guys in turns your frontline into a brick wall. Without that warrior synergy though, they're a little less exciting but still decent marksmen. Assassins are the stylish, shadowy killers of your roster. They've got a hefty 190 health and deal 33 damage, which is already great, but they also boost the health of grunt units significantly. So not only are they dangerous themselves, but they make your disposable troops a lot less disposable. A little edgy, a lot effective. Hunters are tricksters with a punch. Their base damage is just 3, which makes you go, really? Until you realize they deal poison damage over time and slow enemies. Oh, and they also increase the attack speed of flying units. With 99 health and that damage over time mechanic, hunters actually end up doing way more than you expect. Silent but deadly, literally. Slingers are your all-purpose utility troops. They deal 8 damage, have 46 health, and give a flat HP bonus to all other units. They won't carry your army solo, but in the early game, they provide just enough of everything to justify their cost. Basically, they're the sidekick who doesn't steal the spotlight but always has your back. Militia are beefy boys. With 140 health and 7 damage, they're not big hitters, but they get more health when grouped up with other militia. Think of them as low-cost tanks who just want a buddy. Stack enough of them, and you'll have a durable front line that can absorb punishment while your stronger units do the real work. Druids of the Badger sound weird, look weirder, but they work. With 100 health and a single point of damage, they aren't scary. But they increase the damage of all ranged units, and if you're pumping out archers, they're worth every log of wood. They're basically the team coach yelling, "Shoot faster!" from the sidelines. Musketeers are dashing gunners with 120 health and 19 damage. They boost the attack speed of champion units, and since they hang back and snipe safely, they tend to survive long enough to be useful. Got champions on your team? These guys are their personal caffeine injection. Druids of the Owl are the aerial support squad. They've got 100 health and deal 20 damage, but more importantly, they increase damage dealt by flying units. They aren't super exciting on their own, but if you're running aerial builds, they're practically mandatory. Pumpkin Warriors are spooky, squishy, and surprisingly strong. With 200 health and 17 damage, they give a nice boost to rider unit damage. Best part? They're produced using only water, which, as we all know, is infinite. So if you've got the time, you can churn these out endlessly. Hydration really is power. Mushroom Warriors are the fungal frontline you never knew you needed. With 220 health and 20 damage, they're bulky, reliable, and they increase the attack speed of arcane units. They're not cheap to upkeep. A couple of resources go into maintaining them, but they hold their ground and boost your spellcasters at the same time. Longbowmen are long-range snipers with 120 health and 25 damage, and they also boost the attack speed of other ranged units. Pretty solid package, great from a distance, and they work well in big ranged builds. Just be warned, their production cost can feel like you're signing a mortgage. Ballista are the heavy hitters of your backline. With 130 health and a whopping 40 damage, they're strong. They also increase the health of flying units. Sounds amazing, right? Well, they are, if you can afford them. Their production is so expensive it feels like you're buying a small house every time you queue one up. Rampasture sounds like a nice countryside retreat, but it's actually a powerhouse. With 860 health and 48 damage, these beastly units boost the attack speed of arcane troops and hit like a truck. The catch? They require black sheep, plus tons of resources, so unless you've got a well-oiled economy, they're a bit of a luxury item. Horsemen are cavalry units with 200 health and 38 damage who also boost winery production. If you're going for wine-based builds, because of course that's a thing, these guys are your loyal vineyard workers/soldiers. Easy to upkeep if you've got grapes flowing. And who doesn't want battle-hardened sommeliers? Fairies may look harmless, but don't be fooled. With 200 health and 20 damage, their real strength comes when you have 5 of them. At that point, they give all ranged troops poison damage. That's a huge bonus. But the price of entry? Bone meal. And unless you've got a steady supply, they're more wishful thinking than reliable strategy. Worm Riders are some of the best champion support units out there. With 160 health and 34 damage, they're tough, hit hard, and boost the HP of your champion troops. Plus, they're relatively inexpensive to maintain. All in all, they're the kind of versatile unit that fits into a surprising number of builds. And that's A tier. A rowdy mix of specialists, team players, and overachievers that might not always steal the spotlight. But without them, your army's gonna feel seriously incomplete. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Bumblebee, Goose Hydra, Healer Mage, Druid of the Bear, Black Swordsman, White Unicorn, Griffin, Patricius, Hydra, Black Unicorn, Goose Rider, and Balloon Bomber. And now, the top dogs, the Apex Predators, the VIP section of The King is Watching. Welcome to S tier. These are the units that make you feel like a tactical genius just by putting them on the field. Whether it's their raw stats, their synergy potential, or just the absurd value they bring for their cost, these are the game changers you'll want in nearly every run. If your army had a Hall of Fame, this entire list would be in it. Bumblebee might sound cute, but it's an absolute menace in the best way possible. With 400 health and 11 damage, it's already tankier than most frontliners, but its real power comes from boosting the damage of champion units. And guess what? It only costs grapes to produce. Once you've got the hive, it's just a matter of wine and willpower. Strong, sustainable, and full of sting. Goose Hydra is basically your entire team's personal trainer. This beastly unit has 700 health and 50 damage, and it increases the HP of all your units. Yes, all of them. It needs a bit of setup, sure, but that setup includes Goose Riders, which are already solid units. So it's like building a house and realizing the scaffolding is made of gold. No notes, just honks. Healer Mage is your best friend in a game that really doesn't believe in recovery. With 70 health and a healing output of 19, this unit supports arcane troops by increasing their HP and healing others passively. It's also one of the few healers that doesn't hog your precious active gaze slot. Efficient, elegant, and basically a battlefield medic who minds their own business while saving lives. Druid of the Bear brings the muscle. With 290 health and 43 damage, it hits hard and buffs rider unit damage. It's not just a support, it's a bear. If you've invested in iron production, these guys are easy to sustain and give your cavalry a whole new level of bite. And honestly, who wouldn't want to be backed up by a bear druid? Black Swordsman is the wheat-powered juggernaut you never knew you needed. 380 health, 42 damage, and it increases grunt attack speed. All for just wheat once the camp is built. It's absurd how much value you get out of this unit. If Cheap but Deadly had a mascot, it would be this sword-swinging Shadow. White Unicorn is as majestic as it is lethal. With 600 health and 38 damage, it's solid on its own. But pair it with a Black Unicorn, and suddenly they both start dealing extra damage. Together, they form the deadliest glittery duo since Sparkle met Stab. Without the combo, it's still strong, but together, absolute carnage wrapped in a fairy tale. Griffin is the definition of scaling. It starts with 430 health and 40 damage, which is already great, and then gains more health for every other Griffin on the battlefield. That's right, it's a flying snowball of destruction. The more you have, the more unstoppable they become. They don't just soar, they dominate. Patricius is like a banker who punches people. With 700 health and 38 damage, it's already a beast, but every attack also generates 3 crystals. That's huge, especially for maintaining expensive units like the unicorns. It fights, it funds, and it's fabulous. This unit literally pays for your army's lifestyle. Hydra is probably what your enemies see in their nightmares. A ridiculous 1100 health and 47 damage, and a global buff that increases all units' damage. It's not just strong, it's game warping. Drop a Hydra on the field, and suddenly your entire army is operating on God mode. Expensive? Yes. Worth it? Always. Black Unicorn mirrors its elegant counterpart with 600 health and 33 damage. And again, the magic happens when you run it alongside the White Unicorn. On its own, it's solid. Together, they're a fairy tale wrecking crew. Definitely one of those, the sum is greater than the parts kind of situations. Goose Riders may sound goofy, but they're anything but. With 240 health and 38 damage, they're solid frontline units. But here's the kicker. If you have 5 or more on the field, your troops apply weakness to enemies. That's a huge debuff. And since you need them to unlock Goose Hydras anyway, you're hitting 2 birds, or geese, with 1 very strong rider. Balloon Bomber is the floating fortress of dreams. With a whopping 1000 health and 13 damage, it might not sound impressive at first, until you realize it can't be attacked. Yep, it just floats above the chaos, dropping destruction like a passive-aggressive thundercloud. Expensive to upkeep, sure, but also basically immortal. It's like cheating, but legal. That's your S tier, the creme de la creme, the all-stars, the troops you'll never regret having on your side. Whether you're building fast and aggressive or slow and strategic, these units will always find a way to shine. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.